Well, this full gear was definitely better than last year's full gear. That's for sure. I'm not sure. I'm conflicted about that main event. To be honest, it was very TNA, like old, like 2011, 2010, 2012 TNA esque main event. I just hate. I get why they did what they did, but I'm just not a big fan of shenanigans, interference, all this other stuff in big time matches. I think he can work, and for what it's worth, I thought again I know why they did it, but again to me it's just like it's just my opinion. I'm not a big fan of interference, shenanigans, plot twists when it comes to your main event or a big time match. It's just not my thing. I don't want to see that. You're advertising Jay White MJF. I expect a good competitive match. Granted, they did tell a story, and I'm not mad about it, but it's just a me thing. I don't really like shenanigans in big world championship matches. I feel like we see it all the time. We see it all the time with Roman, right? And it's just nowadays you have to fight tooth and nail to get a good pay-per-view main event level match without any shenanigans involving the world title. And I don't again, it's just a me thing. I'm sure a lot of people like the main event. But to me it was just hit and miss. As far as the rest of the show goes, I thought, in ring wise, very good. Probably probably the second best full gear in existence, probably behind the first one. I really liked that first full gear. That that first full gear goes unmatched compared to the other full gears, but I would probably put this one right underneath it. We did get a lot of news as far as the Continental Classic tournament, which they're offering. Now we'll talk about it when we get to it. And of course, Will Osprey starting with AEW. A good get, not a good get, a great get, I should say. And I feel like a lot of people would agree that the Texas Death Match was the best match on the show. And I would not argue that whatsoever. They had a very brutal match. Now, hopefully, since we have the World's End pay per view, little under a month and a half away. So I wonder if this is just going to be like if we're going to see things reset going into that, or we're going to have continuations from storylines, because I can absolutely see them continuing a lot of these stories going into World's End. I feel like we're going to see a lot of the same stuff for that World's End pay-per-view based off some of these results that happened. Let's get into it, man. Full gear. Oh, I guess I should talk about the pre-show match. I'm just going to be honest, I didn't catch the pre-show. I didn't catch the pre-show. I usually watch the pre-shows. As far as like AW pre-shows, 0 hour. Let's see. Happened. It was Jay Lethal, Eddie Kingston, right for the ROH title. Eddie won. Oh, that's Ortiz. So apparently Ortiz came to the end of Eddie Kingston app. Yeah, Claudio versus Matthews. That was enough. It's like Claudio won, and then of course the. Now I did see the recapped angle from the pre-show with MJF and his leg from the gun. So I did see the recap of that and the whole ambulance spot thing. So that was pre-show. Show kicks off with Team Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. Patriarchy, I think is a stupid name. Versus Team Adam Copeland, almost an Edge, Darby Allin, and Sting. Right, Sting's last match in California. Adam came out. They were all wearing Adam's like trench coat thing, which is pretty cool. And then Adam had his face painted like Darby's. That was pretty cool. And Christian's entrance was awesome. I really like Christian's entrance a lot. Made it feel more epic than it needed it to be. As far as the match goes, a lot of cool spots. Luchasaurus chokeslamming Darby on the ring. Fucking psychopath. That man Darby. People give him a lot of shit for taking some of the bumps he does, but listen, he explained it years ago that he's taken every bump possible off a skateboard on concrete and ramps and all that stuff. So these wrestling bumps ain't nothing to him. Let me tell you, these wrestling bumps ain't nothing to him. That's why he does all this shit. Adam's team gets the dub here, which to me is the only logical reason or outcome for this match. Because why have Christian's team win when you can easily set up doing Adam versus Christian down the line? I don't know if they do it at World's End or they're gonna stretch this out to Revolution. Not sure, but I hope we get a full-fledged just Adam and Christian thing because Christian's gonna have Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne at all times, and I don't think Adam's gonna have Darby and Sting at all times. So I'm very curious to see what the follow up is on this. Now that Adam won, Adam's team won. They have the edge now. No pun intended. So a good fun opener. Crowd was really into it. Crowd was singing Adam's song. Good stuff to open the show. Then we had Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley. And I'm just gonna be honest, because that's what my wrestling reviews are, just pure honesty. In my opinion, I feel like we've seen this match before between John Moxley and Orange Cassidy. I just felt like we've seen this type of match all the time. This is just a typical normal Moxley match where he just does this. It's the same formatted thing. And I've never been the one to complain because I see people talk about it all the time. Though Moxley just has the same matches, but this match specifically, I actually really felt it. That it was just the same type of match that Moxley does. And credit to Orange Cassidy, he's trying, but you can't. To me, it's just like you can't have this guy who is just a slacker who just doesn't care, and then all of a sudden they're trying to turn him into a badass, but he still does the pocket thing, and he still wears the same stuff that he wears. So it doesn't work for me. Whatever they're trying to do with Cassidy right now, it doesn't work for me. Maybe change his look. Change his look, change his song, and then maybe he could be portrayed as a badass. But you can't have this. Can't portray him to be a badass if he still comes out to Jane and fucking wears his blue jeans and still puts his hands in his pockets like that. You can't. It doesn't work for me unless you do some other thing. But what's interesting is that Cassidy retained the title. I 1000% thought Moxley was going to win, but having Cassidy win is intriguing because where do we go now? Does Moxley and Cassidy still feud? Because right now it's 1-1, right? Moxley won at the All Out pay per view, and then Cassidy won here. Is the third match gonna be set up for World's End, or are we gonna see it on TV? Because it is 1-1, so I would think they would do a third match to do the tiebreaker. Um, but I do feel like if Moxley would have won here, then you could really do something with Cassie's character, make him go over the edge, make him be this badass that they're trying to make him be, change his look, change his music, something. But they didn't do that. They had Cassidy win. So I just want to know when's this third match gonna happen? Or are they gonna stretch this out all the way to World's End? Curious, and I'm also curious to know what the promos are gonna be like against each other. Now that Cassidy beat Moxley, then we see that Mark Briscoe has entered the Continental Classic. You know, listen, solid entry. I wouldn't have put him in it, but you gotta do something with him on TV, I guess, because he Briscoe he's too good to not be on TV doing something. So I guess this entry is fine. I wouldn't expect him to win much, but we'll see. See how he does compared to see who is Danielson on Andrade. Then they announced Eddie Kingston later. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how Briscoe does. I'm excited because he can actually have good matches. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. Next, we have the AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida. Uh, I feel so bad for Shida because she's a three-time women's champion, and this run and the one she had, it's almost like, why did they even take the belt off Toni Storm in the first place? Like why even take the belt off Toni at all? Because she lost the belt to Shida at the Dynamite 1000 or whatever Dynamite special episode or whatever it was, and then she dropped the titles to Saraya like 2 weeks later, and then like 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, she beat Saraya for it again, and then she's done nothing with the title this time again, and then she drops it to Toni Storm. So I'm just like, why? Like, why even take the belt off of Toni Storm in the first place? You could have just kept Toni Storm with the belt instead of going to Saraya. Yeah, it was a cool moment in Wembley, but what did she do with that title? Fucking nothing. Saraya is a name, but she's just not good at the ring. She's just not, and sucks to say, she's still rusty. I mean, again, listen, Saraya was out. She didn't wrestle for like a long time. This is with the neck thing. So I mean, I'm not hating on her, but it's just she's not that good in the ring. She's a name, but if you look at what she did in that title run, she did nothing. And Sheeta's reign, when she beat Toni Storm the first time, was 2 weeks and she dropped the belt in a 4-way. And then this run, where she beat Saraya, she's done nothing to elevate that title. Now, I feel bad for Sheeta. She's actually one of the better in-ring workers, and the crowd likes Sheeta. But again, this all boils down to why even take the belt off Toni Storm in the first. Why do all this flip flop hot potato shit if you were just gonna put it back on Tony Storm? For what? These last two belt title reigns that Sheeta had has done nothing for her. Honestly, it really hasn't. And Saraya should have never had that thing in the first place. I don't know if it was a contract thing, like he guaranteed Saraya a championship run at some point, but my God. And in the match, they were having a good match, but when Tony put the pan in her ass, you can clearly see the pan, right as day. No DQ. Like what? Aubrey looked right at it several times. You couldn't miss it. It was just slipping out her ass cheek. No DQ. That just gets a pass. Like I said, they were having a good match up until the finish was completely stupid. Should have been a DQ. But AEW referees are just the worst referees in wrestling. And I'm pretty sure it's not even their fault, but damn. You couldn't call that at all. And I forgot to mention the fact that Ric Flair beat up Christian with his chops and he put his hands on Christian. That should have been a DQ. But again, the referees are the worst referees in wrestling. So, yeah, whatever, man. Next, well, I guess I should say that Mariah May came out with flowers, congratulate Tony Storm, and again, this is their new signee, to the women's division, and she's a fangirl. They signed a fangirl. Now I'm sure she's not a fangirl. She can actually wrestle. She can actually talk. I've seen it, but the presentation so far is not good. No, we just signed this new talent. She's a fangirl. Kind of stupid. It's kind of stupid to me. Then we get Renee Paquette backstage with Eddie Kingston. Says he enters the tournament, and he says every match will have the ROH World Championship and the New Japan Strong Championship on the line. Then they announce that the winner of the match, the winner of the tournament, will be the first ever Continental Classic champion. Okay, so what does the winner of the tournament get? Do they get a championship match, a guaranteed championship match at Revolution? Or is this just going to be a tournament where you just ultimately it's just another Owen Hart thing where you win an Owen Hart championship and you get nothing out of winning it besides the Owen Hart belt? Like, what is this? Have the winner of this tournament. What is the point of having Continental Classic if the winner does not receive a World Championship match? The only thing they get is just a Continental Classic Championship belt that they can put on their mantle and never wear on TV. They don't need any more belts on this show. Have the winner get a guaranteed shot at Revolution. Not that hard. And on top of that, they're going to get the ROH World Championship and the New Japan Strong Championship. Jesus. We get a 4-way ladder match for the AEW tag titles. LFI, FTR, House of Black, and Ricky Starks and Big Bill. This shit was bananas. This shit was crazy. Probably one of the better ladder matches in AEW history, to be honest. Brody King killed Dralistico. That motherfucker dead. Dralistico. Brody King did not have to do that, man. My God. Cash almost killed himself by almost losing his balance on the ropes before hit Brody King with a splash on a ladder. My God. And then Malachi did like a cool slingshot ladder spot. He like flung the ladder off the ropes and hit Ash or Dax, one of them. Insane. Ricky Starks and Big Bill retained their titles in an insane ladder match. I, I don't know where they go from here. They are a makeshift tag team. Had barely any tag team matches together. Big Bill was just Ricky's heater randomly. He just randomly aligned himself with Ricky Starks one episode, and he's just been a heater for him. And then they won the tag titles, and then I don't know where they go from here. Oh, are we gonna get? Well, because later in the show, well, we'll talk about it. Tag team division is just a mess. It really is. It's just a mess. We get to one of the highlights of the show: Chris Statlander, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. A triple threat match for the TBS Women's Title. Probably one of the better women's matches in AEW this year by far. This was excellent. Julia Hart has gotten so much better, and her character development has gotten insanely good. Sky Blue's finally developing some kind of character development, and they made the right choice here by dropping the title to Julia Hart. This was 1000% the right call, and no offense to Statlander, but again, she's done nothing with that title. She won that title back at Double or Nothing, and I cannot tell you one memorable thing that she's done with that championship besides her recent stuff with Julia Hart and Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale. And I hate to say it, like she's so good, and they're just not like Statlander. The women's titles have been cursed because I feel like the only person who has had a memorable reign has been Jade, Britt Baker, and Jamie Hayter to an extent. Those are the only three women to ever held a women's championship in this company that have felt like it's meant something. And I'm gonna be honest, the tag titles felt the same way. FTR is probably the only tag team that have actually made the tag team belts mean something to me. Besides, probably Omega and Paige, probably like the only other tag team that to me have like made that belt mean something. So I'm glad Julia won. They had a great match. Again, like I said, one of the best women's matches in AEW this year, and the right decision. I'm curious to see where Julia goes from here. Sky went full dark witch mode or whatever, so she's not gonna be her former self. So I'm wondering if we're gonna get Julia and Sky Blue at the pay per view, or Sky's gonna align herself with Julia, or like what does Willow do from here because she's friends with Sky and Statlander. Is Statlander gonna get a rematch clause? A lot of ways they can go with this, and that's a good thing. Tony Schiavone's in the ring. He announces the new signee to AEW, and out comes Will Ospreay to a huge reaction. And he basically just says he's going to finish up his commitments with New Japan, and he will be AEW full time in February. Now, I'm going to be honest, and this is just a me thing. This sucks for TNA, right? This sucks. He just did the tour. He did, like, for anybody who doesn't know and just doesn't care about Impact, shame on you in the first place. But Ospreay's been doing a lot of stuff with Impact lately. He did Bound for Glory, where he beat Speedball in a 5-star match. Then he was on the UK tour, where he beat Eddie Edwards in another very good match. And then he was just on Impact TV Thursday, literally 2 days ago, where he and Josh Alexander probably had the best match of the year. And they Impact released a was it a special after show thing they did where Osprey said that he needs to step foot in a TNA ring in 2024. So and to be fair, Osprey has been praising the hell out of that company during his Impact run, praising the hell out of that company, and he just turns right around 2 days after his last appearance on Impact and signs with AEW. Now, again, I know it was inevitable that he was most likely going to sign with AEW, but man, this has to suck for TNA. I know this isn't a TNA review, but just gonna touch on this for a second. They need to sign somebody, whether it's a Dolph Ziggler, a Mustafa Ali, a CM Punk. They need a fucking name of some sort in that company to bring some attention to that show because their roster is really good. They consistently put on good shows. And it's just a shame that nobody wants to give them a chance because of whatever the fuck reason is. Oh, it's small crowd. Oh, I don't have this. It's $1 on YouTube. You can't spend $1 a month to watch their show every week for free, all their Impact Plus specials for free, all their pay-per-views for free for $1 a month. That is a fucking steal. If you can't afford $1 a month to watch all the Impact stuff for free, like I said, their weekly TV show, their Impact Plus special, all their pay-per-view on YouTube. If you subscribe to their YouTube channel for $1, you get all that stuff and then some more stuff. They need to sign a name. And I know a lot of people think CM Punk's the devil, but man, if they could get, I've seen some people on Twitter say, what would get me to watch TNA if they would sign CM Punk and Will Ospreay. Bitch, if that is what is gonna take for you to watch a really good wrestling show is just a name, then you can just go fuck yourself. Like if that's your attitude, oh, they don't have anybody that's a big name. Who cares? Bro, a lot of people that were wrestling in TNA in the early 2000s weren't established names. They established themselves in TNA. Do I need to list AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Amazing Red, Abyss? There's so many names who weren't big names ever made themselves names in TNA. Why does TNA have to sign somebody with a name for you to suck up and just watch? I don't understand that. So Osprey's with AEW, and listen, good for him. I know the matches are gonna be insane, and I'm actually happy because I get to see him on TV every week, regardless of what the program is. And I can't wait for that eventual. It's so funny because people are like, "Oh well, AEW is gonna sign him because of the Wembley thing." What's one of the first things he talks about in this promo? Wembley Stadium. That motherfucker is 1000% definitely winning that world championship at Wembley Stadium. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is 1000% happening, and that is probably the driving force to him signing with that company more than money. Tony guaranteed him a world championship win at Wembley Stadium. And listen, hey, it makes sense. Who the champion is gonna be at the time, I don't know, but it needs to be somebody big. So, congrats on Osprey. Then we had probably the match of the night: Swerve Strickland, Hangman Page, Texas Death Match. Oh man, I'm so glad I don't choose to do views by breaking down the matches, because I feel like in today's age of wrestling, there's no point in breaking down the matches because they're hard to follow. It's hard to name every spot. So to me, there's just no point in doing that. But I will say this: there was a lot of shit they did in this match. We're talking concrete blocks, barbed wire chairs, regular chairs, barbed wire boards, tables, fucking staple guns, chains. I mean, you fucking name it. A lot of the barbed wire stuff was insane. Like when Swerve hit Hangman with that chair, the barbed wire like surrounded rep Hangman's face. I was like, damn. Like Swerve staple gunning himself in the chest, and then Hangman staple gunning some of his child's finger paint art. Stapled that shit to Swerve's face. A fucking what's it called? Swerve hitting the buckshot lariat while Swerve had barbed wire wrapped around him. Oh my gosh, man. Fucking brutal. I would recommend this. Out of all the matches on the show, this is the one I would 1000% recommend to go out of your way to see. Um, there's one thing, again, I talked about this, about the main event: interference, man. They're doing this classic death match, and they just ruin it with fucking interference. Like, how is this so hard to just not do interference in matches? Like they're having a blood feud. Blood feud. This guy broke into his house. And the blow off match, well, alleged blow off match. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get another one. But it's just, again, it just takes me out. Like, I hate interference in wrestling. It takes me out. Again, it's just a me thing. I'm sure people think it's fine, but for me, interference in matches just take me out of it. Now, while they were having a classic match, I will say definitely the best match on the show, but then you just have Cage come out, fucking Nana's doing his shit. Now, granted, Hangman did, beat up Cage, took him out, and then he fucking hit Nana with a dead eye through a table. But again, it shouldn't have just happened in the first place, in my opinion. The interference was just not needed at all, because Nana pulled Swerve out the ring. So I don't know. Swerve hits Hangman with like a concrete block. Then he chokes him out with a chain on the ring post. Hangman doesn't answer to the 10 count, and Swerve gets a dub. Not to mention that Hangman fucking was drinking Swerve's blood, literally, like he was underneath like a water dispenser or some shit. What a sick fuck, that guy. But yeah, Swerve gets a dub here, which was, to me, probably the right choice. Because I think, for the most part, Swerve has been the best part of this feud. Even though Hangman really showed up last night, fucking killed his ass. Oh, I'm sorry, it was on Dynamite. Was it on Dynamite? Or is that on No, it was on Dynamite. I mean, Hangman cooked this motherfucker. So, but yeah, for the most part, Swerve's been the best part of this feud. And him winning is 1000% the And then we get, my God, to the Golden Jets, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. Whole reason this match is happening is the Bucks jealous that Kenny is hanging out with Jericho more than the Bucks. That's essentially it right there. And they're not even mad at Kenny, they're mad at Jericho. I'm sorry, didn't the Bucks form the Alpha Club with Jericho a few years ago? Wasn't that a thing? Didn't the Bucks leave Kenny high and dry? Form the Alpha Bucks? Right? Wasn't that a thing? Chris Jericho and the Young Bucks versus, what was it, Cody, Kenny, and Marty? Right? So why the fuck are they getting mad at Kenny for hanging out with Jericho when they did the same shit years ago? So I get, no, it's probably irrelevant, but it came to my head and felt like I had to say it. It is true, it did happen. But oh, they're we're mad at Kenny because he's hanging out with Jericho. We're the elite. And again, I do not agree with Kenny and Jericho teaming up at all. Nobody wants to fucking see that shit. Doesn't need to have, again, it's another fucking makeshift tag team. And now they got the title opportunity now because they won the match. So we don't need to see Jericho and Kenny win the tag titles. Please. Please, 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 Tony. Do not put the tag titles on Jericho and Kenny. This should not even be a fucking tag team. Utilize your tag team roster instead of forming these random ass teams. It's so stupid to me. Jericho and Omega do not need the tag titles. They don't even need to be a tag team. I'm sure Chris has convinced other people, this is great, having them as a tag team. No, it's not. No, it's fucking not. You're both from Winnipeg. That's cool. Doesn't mean you should fucking be a tag team together. Kenny Omega, man, could be doing so much more and better things in this company, but over the years, he's just been fucking doing nothing, man. And it fucking sucks. Outside of his world title run, his career in AEW, like ever since he lost that title, the Hangman, he's came back and he just feels like a non-factor, which is a shame because Kenny's great. People like Kenny. He's stuck doing all these other bullshit shit instead of being a prime singles wrestler in the singles day. I know he's hurt and all, and he's not the same Kenny he was in Japan, but bro, he could be doing way better than doing a fucking tag team run with Chris Jericho. For fuck's sake, Jericho's 53, right? He's 53, 52. He has no business being in a tag team with Chris Jericho. They literally could not figure out something for Kenny to do, or Chris, and be like, oh, you just stick them together as a tag. Oh, stupid. Now, this really wasn't really a, well, I guess it was a match. It was a okay match, but focus here wasn't about the match. It was about storytelling between Kenny and the Young Bucks, because Nick low blows Jericho, and then Kenny gets pissed off, and then Matt low blows Kenny. Kenny goes for a V trigger, but he has the option to pick between Jericho, Bucks. So is he gonna pick his friends, or is he gonna pick his new friend? He ends up V triggering Nick, and then he one winged Angels Matt to get the dub. Omega and Jericho win the Young Bucks tag team title opportunity. Now they have a guaranteed tag title shot whenever they want. And again, we don't need to see it. We don't. Putting the tag titles on Jericho and Omega is just a bad fucking idea. I'm sorry. It's already bad enough the tag titles are on a random ass team and Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Just again, it doesn't need to happen. Doesn't need to happen. Please don't make this true. Please don't make it a reality. After the match, the Young Bucks are seen throwing a massive temper tantrum, just freaking out, throwing shit, hitting chairs against ring posts. Yeah. Main event time. Now, during the show, Tony Schiavone came out and said MJF's not medically cleared, and Jay White is the AEW World Champion via forfeit. But Adam Cole comes out, says that he will fight MJF his behalf for the World Championship in the main event. So they were advertising Adam Cole versus MJF, and they sanctioned it, they advertised it, and they went with it. Granted, Adam Cole is on fucking crutches, and he has a fucking boot on his foot. Why would AEW's medical staff clear this guy to wrestle? If MJF has like a fucked up leg, but Adam Cole's clear to wrestle, stupid. I don't care that he never actually wrestled. The point is, they advertised it throughout the show. There's no way he's medically cleared. If he's medically cleared and they let him do that in his thing, then he's just a fucking liar. He's not actually hurt. But to me, it's just a bad look on AEW. Fake or not fake. You let this guy walk down to that ring in crutches and a medical boot on, and he's okay to wrestle, but MJF has a wrapped up leg, but he's not okay to wrestle. Fucking stupid. I see a lot of people on Twitter talking about the same shit. It's stupid. But MJF steals an ambulance because he was the only person driving the fucking ambulance. So I guess he walked out of his hospital bed, stole an ambulance, and came back to the fucking show for some reason. And so it ended up being MJF versus Jay White for the title. And I know I talked about this a lot during the beginning, so I'm not going to talk about this much longer. I thought they were telling a good story, with Jay attacking his leg, in his leg. Yes, selling was good, but the shenanigans, man, between the guns and Adam Cole with the ring and Jay White using the ring. Then we had a ref bump. It's just so overdone and nauseating, in my opinion. And it just really took me out of this match. I did not care, to be honest. Which sucks because I think MJF and Jay White could put on a great match. But when you factor in the fucking injury angle and all the interference, the guns got kicked out, but then they came back later, and Adam used the ring into the dynamite ring into the ring, but Jay White used it, and then the ref bump. It's just, man, just takes me out of it, man. I was hoping and expecting a good classic championship bout, but instead they go the injury angle route with a bunch of shenanigans. It's very TNA-esque. Not good TNA, bad TNA. TNA is known for having fucking shenanigans, screwy finishes all the time when it comes to their big pay-per-view main events. And all I could think of was just bad TNA. Again, it's just a me thing. I hate shenanigans in wrestling, especially for your big marquee matches. Because people are paying to see this match. People are buying this pay per view to see a world championship match between MJF and Jay White, only to just get it fucking ruined by shenanigans and an injury angle and all this other shit. Again, I thought they were doing a solid job telling a story in the ring with the injury. Jay White was really playing up on it, and then they teased Adam throwing in the towel, which is all fine and dandy, but again, it was just felt let down by all the fucking shenanigans. MGF retained the title after, when fucking Bryce took that ref bomb, that motherfucker was out for like 10 minutes. And then as soon as it was time for MJF to pin Jay White, he just gets up and counts the pin. It's so stupid, honestly. So MJF retains his title against Jay White. Now they took forever to send this show off. It felt like they were milking something was about to happen, but it just kept going on and on and on up until we saw the all rights reserved graphic, and then the show went off the air. No devil reveal, no Adam Cole swerve on MJF, no nothing. Just a lackluster main event, a decent story, and overall a pretty good show. Like I said, this is probably the second best Full Gear pay-per-view they've done. So with that said, that was the review. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell. Follow all my social medias. Follow me on Kick. I stream video games on there 4 days out of the week. So if you guys want to come in and talk wrestling, you can do that. See you guys for the next video. Peace out.